Hey everybody, welcome back to Feedback Loop. I'm Joey,
And I'm Jeremy.
and this week, boy, do we got a lot for you. I'm gonna make a promise that we can't keep whenever the episode's only 20 minutes long. But
No, it's fine. We were rambling before we started this recording about I derailed and started going through the things that I had listened to before we even actually started the podcast. So I think we'll probably be fine. How
yeah,
was your
probably.
fortnight, Joey? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty cool, pretty good. I took all last week off work, so I'm recharged and refreshed, as if I do so much work anyways whenever I'm at work.
Hey, it's
But
mental health, man. Mental health
yeah,
more than physical.
definitely,
Everyone needs breaks.
it was a nice break. I haven't taken a full week other than whenever we moved into this house, whenever we had to renovate it and do all that stuff. I haven't taken a full week off since Borderlands 3 came out.
What a time that was.
A week of
Well,
rage.
that was it was something. But yeah, I'm doing all right this fortnight. I suppose I feel like I've listened to a whole bunch, but I have very little written down on my notepad for this week. But we did, I guess, and I guess we'll discuss this at the end of the episode. We did determine a new category for our face-off competition of music. We determined stomp pop. I can't even say it. Stomp pop was going
It's
to
hard.
be it was going to be the genre for the next matchup. So at the end of this episode, I think we'll go over our nominees
That
for
sounds
that, and
good.
then in the next episode we will determine winners.
Well,
Maybe
Jeremy,
winner, I suppose.
since you apparently don't have a whole lot, do you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I have more than I said I did, and by
Oh,
that I
okay.
mean I had things I didn't listen. So I guess we'll just start at the top. Last week, last episode, last fortnight, I declared I was going to listen to Adele's 30.
Did you? Oh,
I
yeah,
did. I did. I messaged you at some point.
you
I
did.
listened to it once through on like the day after the last recording, and I haven't listened to it since. So I didn't give it necessarily a good, thorough listening to, but I did listen to it and I enjoyed it, and I think it's good. I should say I know it's good, but I don't know. There's some vibes in it that I wasn't a fan of, and it's just this is a personal issue with me is that a lot of like poppy R&B stuff kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
Just the vibe of it, it doesn't mesh well with me. So like I did like some of the songs on 30 a lot, but other ones kind of felt like just kind of generic R&B for me, and I'm not into
I feel that. I can see that. I have a soft spot for Adele, so I feel like I can't be
that. Yeah,
objective
Adele's
or
good.
whatever. Yeah,
Adele is objectively good. She's a great songwriter, great singer. So it's not my cup of tea,
there you
as
go.
as the
Because she's
British
British.
like to drink. There's a joke in there somewhere I was too
Yeah.
lazy to find.
Well, I guess I'll write in another chapter of my Dollar Tree adventures because
Ooh,
we did go to Dollar Tree to look for
this
some
was
cheap
fun.
Christmas decorations, and I was looking through their giant basket of CDs in there, and I found one that stuck out to me, and it was a band called Lifetime. It was a self-titled album by them, and the cover art just looked kind of like abstract. It was just a bunch of like colors and shit. So I was like, you know what? I'll look this up. And I got in the car and turned it on, and within the first song, it was like, so imagine like a typical pop punk, but like with hardcore that you would hear on like a Tony Hawk soundtrack. It was
Yeah,
kind of like that. Like the band that I likened it to was Strike Anywhere, with this kind of just like all over the place beat, like I'm not blast beats because it's not like metal, but it's like that
right.
style where it's like a little bit
Very up
offbeat.
tempo and kind of like
Yeah,
four on the floor, kind of just going for
yeah. And Alyssa was immediately like, "This is awful. I hate this."
it.
But that's the style of music that I used to be so into back in like middle school and early high school. So it hit a spot for me. So I went home and I listened to the whole album, and I liked it a lot. And I'm going to be checking out more by this Lifetime band. So I don't feel
Hell yeah,
bad about not buying the album and just looking it up online because I feel
that was
like
going to be my question.
I feel like because now Dollar Tree everything's $1.25 because inflation.
Sure.
And they're not going to get any money off of their CD selling at Dollar
That's
Tree
fair.
anyways.
That's
So
fair.
if I stream them on Spotify, they're going to get at least a penny if I listen to their
They'll get
whole album.
something.
Like,
Yeah.
so they'll get something out of it versus nothing.
I think that's fair. On a similar note to window shopping for albums, I I actually had this in my library in my backlog last episode. It was one of the albums that I added and I hadn't gotten a chance to listen to. I got a chance to listen to it. The album art caught my eye, and this is the one that I sent you a picture of just before. It's Frankie Cosmos's Inner World piece. I knew nothing about Frankie Cosmos, but I saw the album art. And I was like, that's aesthetically pleasing to me. There's a lot going on in it, but it's also very simple and very clean, very colorful. So it caught my eye, and I listened to it, and I really, really enjoy it. Frankie Cosmos is like a female singer songwriter. I think. I guess there's a whole band involved. I don't want to sell them short or anything, but it's kind of this like chill indie rock vibe, kind of somewhere between like older metric stuff and like Beach Bunny in some ways, and it also kind of had similar vibes to the deep goth post punk album that
Ooh.
I recommended, that I can't think of the name of, and shame on
Theoretical
me.
Girl.
Theoretical Girl. Yep, that's it. So very similar vibes to that in some ways. It's just kind of this chilled out indie rock. It was very good. I would recommend the album. If you don't want to listen to the full album, at least listen to Aftershook. It's the second track on the album. So I think that's a a strong single for that album.
Well, hell yeah. Okay. I'm always looking out for new stuff that's indie sounding, and saying Bad Bunny, my ears immediately perk up. So
Beach Bunny, not Bad
Beach
Bunny.
Bunny. Oh my
Sorry.
God.
Did I
No.
say Bad Bunny?
No, you said Beach Bunny, but earlier, my daughter and her friend were playing a game in which the villain was a bad bunny. And the whole
I see.
time I wanted to make a reference to Bad Bunny, the musical artist,
Right.
but a 6 and a 7 year old aren't going to understand who that is. So
Right.
I had Bad Bunny on the brain, but Beach
Yeah,
Bunny.
Beach Bunny. Yeah, more indie rock, less. He does like Latin kind of like rap, right?
Yeah, like Latin dance, whatever that thing is. I don't know what that style of music's called.
Yeah, me either, man. We're so ignorant. How dare we talk about music?
Well, so you posted this in Discord. You also posted another album in Discord this week
I did.
that we both listened to the whole thing because you were like, "Holy shit, dude, this album!"
I stumbled on Cave Town. I'm
Hell
assuming
yeah,
this is what you're referring to.
yeah, it is.
Cave Town's new album, Worm Food. I had never heard of the band, and I'm gonna be real honest with you. I didn't listen to that album a whole lot. I had very strong feelings
You
as I
did,
was listening through it to the first time, but I never went back to it. And I think this is just the way I've listened to music the past couple weeks, is that I haven't really like lingered on anything. I've just kind of been bouncing around a lot. Frankie Cosmos Inner World Peace, I have listened to several times in the past fortnight, but I think that is an exception. I don't think there's any other album that I've listened to more than once in the past fortnight. But yeah, I really enjoyed the vibes of it. Uh, the Worm Food album, it kind of caught my eye because of the features. There are
yeah,
three tracks that feature artists, one of which features Pierce the Veil, which I'm not like a big fan of Pierce the Veil, but I've heard of them, and I know they're kind of like the on the whinier end of like the screamo
yeah,
kind of stuff. But then they also feature Biba Doobie, Biba Doobie, Biba Doobie. I think it's Biba Doobie,
yeah.
who is
Baba
like
Doobie.
a chilled out kind of folksy like girl and a guitar kind of music. I was like, that's a very like that's a wide range that they're covering just with
Yeah.
those two features. So I wanted to check it out. Very good album. I think I know I really enjoyed it when I listened to it, but I can't think of anything specific about it right now because I
Oh
haven't
man.
listened to it for 2 weeks almost.
Yeah. Yeah. I just thought it was funny because it must have been like a year ago or something. Alyssa just started putting on Cave Town. Like, I guess it was one of his very early albums or songs or something. And this guy started making music like super young, like
Yeah,
extremely young. So young that his voice had not changed yet when he originally
right.
started singing, to the point where Alyssa heard it and was like, I guess originally thought it was a girl and then found out it was a guy. and
Sure.
she just like fell in love with that voice, and then his voice changed. And I think
Yeah.
Sleepyhead was his album that came out after his voice changed. She was like, I like his old voice better. I'm like, well, he
That's the
can't
way
really
it
control
is.
that now, can he?
That's
but
the way it is, man.
but while I do agree that I like his old stuff more, I feel like he found his better use for his new voice, his real voice in this album. Even though Sleepyhead went fucking giant, like that was like his breakout album.
Interesting.
But
I do want to check. I want to re-listen to that album because I had such a strong reaction to it. Um, which it's weird for me to just drop an album like that after having such a positive response
yeah,
to it. But I do want to check that out. I do want to check his older stuff. I think Alyssa texted me about Cave Town and I never responded. I feel like I was in a weird headspace when she texted me, and it was one of those
yeah,
things like I'll respond later, and then I never did. So I
oh
kind of feel
yeah.
bad about that, but I do want to check out the rest of Cave Town's discography at some point. So
No, she has not stopped talking about the fact this week that you didn't text her back. That's just.
I'm sure she's very upset.
So, what's your next thing? Do you have a next thing?
Oh, I do. I have a
Okay.
couple.
Oh shit. Okay.
So I have more than I have written down, I guess. Because so far we have discussed. Oh, I guess it's two. It's about half of my list. I did also listen to this is something that I'll probably pass the ball to you. I did listen to some of Joji's new album,
Okay. Cool.
Smithereens, which I'm
Yeah.
assuming you have on your list.
That was my next thing that I was going to talk about.
So I did listen to it a little bit. I don't know if it's just not the right vibe for me. Again, it felt not necessarily similar to Adele's album, but I think I kind of hit a similar wall with it where it just like it's not really my style of music that I was enjoying. There's nothing particularly bad about it. It's not something that I was wanting to listen to. But I did try it.
Yeah, I got to say I kind of agree with you. I like it very much, and Glimpse of Us, I like it. It's a nice soft ballad. Die for You, the third track on the album, because it's actually like a 2-part album, I guess, where the first 5 songs are like the album, and then the next 5 songs are like the ones that are all capitalized. Like that's how he wrote the titles. That's, I guess, demos or unreleased other stuff or something. But Die for You, the third track on the album, dude, it's my fucking jam. But this one is a lot more. It feels a lot more R&B, smooth, focused than like Nectar. When I first heard Nectar, it was like bassy. It was really like dark and moody. And it's moody, but it's not dark. And that's
I
kind of
really want to try listening to Nectar again because I think I know you praised it on the podcast when it came out, and obviously we did an episode on Joji for Slow Dancing in the Dark. Was it the name of the
It was the huge song, but it was Ballads 1 was the name.
Ballads 1? That's right. But yeah, so like I liked Ballads 1, and I think it's grown fonder over time for me. I haven't revisited it a whole lot, but it's come up every now and then. I think fondly on that album and experience. But then like Nectar came out and you really, really dug it. And I don't know if I ever gave it like time to sit down and listen to it. I think I maybe threw it on as background noise at some point, but never really like focused on it. And so I feel like there's this gap in the transition between Ballads 1 and Smithereens, which is the new album.
Yeah.
Where it's just like it doesn't feel the same in a lot of ways, even though it is still Joji. So I think that kind of set it up to fail, I guess, in some aspect for me.
Yeah.
Is that it's like it's so different from what I was expecting, and also it's kind of a bit more on the smoother R&B side. So it's just kind of a negative thing. So maybe Nectar is a good linking album for me.
It is, because Nectar, while it is moody and dark, it is smoother than Ballads 1, so it's kind of like this midway point. But I feel like he hit it with Nectar, and to go further, it just takes away from like it takes away from the edge or whatever that it had. But
interesting. So do you think Nectar is his best album then? Or is it your favorite of his albums, I should say?
It's at least the one that I had the most immediate visceral connection with, because I definitely still find myself like I go back to Ballads 1. I was listening to like Come Through and See You in California, whatever the last
Sure.
fucking track of Ballads one was. I was jamming out to that the other day in the car. But Nectar, like I can immediately turn it on and just be like, fuck yes, this
The
is
vibe.
it. This is the vibe.
That's cool. Speaking of vibes, there is another band, and this is the last one I have on my list. Oh, that's not true.
Oh,
I
oh,
have another one after this. That it's actually earlier in my list that I skipped over. But Crosses, Chino Moreno's kind of weird goth electronic project, his side
yeah.
project, Crosses, which is not spelled out Crosses. It is, but it isn't. He uses the symbol of a cross as it's like three of those as his title, but he also puts in parentheses crosses. Anyways, they released a new single in the past fortnight called Vivian. And I didn't listen to it initially. It took me a couple days to get around to it, and I listened to it, and it's good. And I listened to it, and it's good. And I listened to it more, and it's a song that it's kind of kept me up. So I kind of like went back over some of their newer releases. They only have one album, and it came out a few years ago. I think I actually don't know what year it came out, but since that album, they haven't released a new body of work. Pulling it up right now. I'm not pulling it up. It's not there. But
Oh
they've
my
released
god.
singles. They've released a couple singles. I tried pulling it up, but it's just not showing up for me. But they've released a few singles since like 2020, essentially. And so there's not a lot of new music. There's like 5 to 6 new tracks out, but there's not like an EP. There's not an album. They've just been releasing kind of trickling singles as they get made, I guess. So I've been like shuffling the newer ones, and it's so good, man. Chino's voice is so distinct, and the vibe that he captures with Crosses is just so phenomenal. I mean, Deftones too,
Yeah.
obviously, but like Crosses is it's something like so like specific and special and niche. And like they did a cover of "Goodbye Horses" as well as it's one of the newer singles that they did, which was like a bigger song in like the '80s. But I'm not totally crazy about the song, but their cover of it, there's just I don't know, it's just good. Everything Chino touches just turns to gold.
Yeah, his voice is just like, and the way he uses his voice too,
Yeah,
like he's not afraid to like do this wavy thing where he kind of goes out of the key and then back in,
yeah,
and it just sounds so like weird and creepy, and it's beautiful. It's
it
fucking
is.
beautiful. Also, that
And
Crosses album came out in 2014, by the way.
2014. Thank you. So yeah, it's been a while, and I think recently, I think in the last week or so, they said that they were going to be releasing an EP or a collection. They've been very vague and non-committal, I think, with what they're going to call it, but it's going to have most of the singles that they released, I think, over the past year or two, kind of in one place, as well as I think a few other songs.
Well, fuck yeah, I'm all about new Chino. That's super cool, and in the spirit of new. I'm back.
Ooh, I think it was on my end.
Really? Okay.
Zencaster popped up a message saying that I was disconnected from it, and then it just reconnected it.
Oh,
So
okay.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. Anyways, as I was saying, I think within the last week or so, Crosses announced that they were going to be releasing a body of work, a like an EP or I don't think they're calling it an album. I don't think they're calling it an EP. There's like a collection of songs that's going to have the more recent singles on it, as well as some like additional songs on that. So looking forward to that. That should be choice.
Hell yeah. Speaking of new singles by vocalists and or bands that we love, dude, fucking Pile dropped a new single.
Oh yeah,
Loops is the name of it, and I gotta say, I'm fucking amped about
I
this new
haven't
Pile
listened to it
single.
yet.
Dude,
I feel a little bad. because I know, like obviously you love Pile, but like I really enjoyed what I've heard of Pile, and like it's such a specific vibe. And I knew the single. Like I'm subscribed to their newsletter. I get emails when they drop new shit. And I saw it happen, and then I let you know, and then I just never actually listened to it myself.
Yeah, it was weird because I was just like, I don't know. I always like try to put on Pile in the car whenever it's just me and Alyssa, and she is like mild on Pile.
She
She's like,
tolerates.
yeah, like a few songs she likes, but so every once in a while I'll just throw it on because I'm like, I really want to fucking listen to some Pile right now. And I looked up their Spotify, and there was a new single like that had dropped like 2 hours before that, and I was just like, what the fuck? And so I put it on, and like I fucking super dig it.
Yeah.
But I feel like that like I'm gonna like literally anything they put out. But it's nice to hear after I guess 2 years or whatever without really some new Pile. I mean, I know they put out the corners of a sphere filled.
But
I
yeah.
can't fucking
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
the exact
I know
name.
what you're talking about.
The improvisational album that they put out, and then of course Rick. It was mainly just Rick. I think it was actually only just Rick who put out songs known together alone under the Pile
Right.
name, which I fucking love that album. Um, but there hasn't really been any new stuff with just the entire band as like a full song. And this coming back to that, hearing because it's not like they go right back into it. They're like it hits hard. The drum beat is like intense, constantly driving forward. Like the chorus has not left my head. He's got this super filtered vocals that like he's screaming at parts again. So it's just nice to hear that
Hell yeah.
again. And while it's not my favorite Pile song of all time,
It's good to
it's
be back.
it's definitely just good to be back, and it's got me super excited for the new album because I've been wondering. Rick, they were originally based out of Boston, and I think the rest of the band is still in Boston, but Rick moved to Nashville and then did all of the super spacey, reverby stuff with songs known together alone. And I was just wondering how that would potentially affect the band's sound, but they still have it. They're moving forward because it doesn't really sound like anything that they've put out before. But then at the end of the track, they kind of get in some of that reverby, spacey, slow. So it makes me excited that potentially the new album is going to have a wide array of sounds and new sounds. So
Hell yeah. I'll definitely check out the single, and I'm probably going to check out the album as well when that comes out. I think it's scheduled for like February. I think
yeah,
February is going to be a packed month next year because I'm pretty sure the new Paramore album's dropping there, and I feel like there was another bigger one that's going to be happening in February next year. It's kind of nice to be in this season where like everyone's starting to announce next year's plans. It's
hell
very
yeah.
exciting. You reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about that I had listened to when you mentioned singles from a band that we both love, and that is Mastodon's "Cold Dark Place."
Yeah.
I recently revisited that EP. It's like 4 songs,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was mostly written by Brent Hines. But God, it is so like good. It is just good.
Hell yeah.
I mean, obviously we can say that about any Mastodon album, but like Cold Dark Place captures such a specific vibe that a lot of Mastodon's music doesn't. And
Yeah.
every song on that EP is just a hit. Every song. So that was a nice revisit. The other thing that was on my list as a new discovery this week was a band called He Is Legend. They released an album called Endless Hallway, and I don't know that I want to necessarily recommend this album. Probably not. Well, maybe to you. I think you might find some enjoyment. But the way I would describe this album is that it's kind of like a heavier, djenty kind of metalcore sound, but the vocalist is heavily inspired by James Hetfield.
Oh my
So
god.
so it's kind of like this just really heavy Metallica kind of sound, and it's very interesting. I don't think I listened to the full album, but I picked it up and I listened to like the first half of it at least. And I was like, this is really fun and interesting, and not something that I've heard done before. So He Is Legend is the name of that band. Check them out if you're into some good Hetfield vocals.
I mean, once upon a time, I was super into Metallica. Even I wasn't even one of those people who was like, "Oh, Fuel and Refuel and Saint Anger. Fuck, what the fuck is that? That's not Metallica." Like, I still like
Yeah,
those. So I was totally into Metallica circa 2010 and before, whatever. I still haven't heard Hardwired to Self Destruct in its entirety. So
It's pretty good,
yeah,
I think, but I'm not too picky again. I don't like Saint Anger, but Hardwired to Self Destruct I think got a lot of hate that
yeah.
it didn't need.
Well, is it
That
time?
wraps my list. So yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think if you're ready, I'm ready
Oh my
to give
god.
out our Stomp Pop nominees. I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, I have a few runners up as I am wont to do recently
Sure.
with our things. My first runner up is a band called Josh and Mare. The album that I listened to was called Planet Music, and it sounds really cool. It's indie folksy, which I feel like kind of like they had the Stomp stuff that like not that they sounded like Mumford and Sons, but like the
Yeah.
stompy like whatever folky type stuff. They had a bit of that in there, but I don't know if I would necessarily consider it stomp pop, which is why I didn't pick it. But I
Sure.
really liked the album. I really like the song "Where Are You" because it's slower, and this is one of the songs that made me realize like I don't consider this stomp pop. But also like there was a song called "Morning Eden Mars," and it had this really cool like bouncy electro bass line, and the singing almost reminded me of Tom York from Radiohead. So that was pretty cool. It was nice.
Yeah.
Then I found a band called Tin Bears because I'll just go ahead and disclose. I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. So apparently, the website I guess that we use to like pick these genres, they make a Spotify playlist for some of the genres, and this was one of them. So I just kind of went down it and I listened. There's like 100 songs on there from 100 different bands, and just listened to all of them, and whatever caught my ear caught my ear. But this
Right.
band called Tin Bears, I was so fucking hyped whenever I heard their song "Dust and Gold" that was on here, because it's like I would not at all consider it stomp pop in any way, because it was like super electro, like dancey, like going
Yeah.
fucking. It was a banger. I would classify it as a certified banger, but I couldn't pick them in good faith because they only had 3 songs. They had 3 singles, so I was like, I can't just recommend 3 songs. But man, Dust and Gold by Tin Bears was a fucking bop, and I would recommend it if you ever want to listen to something that's really cool.
Hell yeah.
Third runner
So
up. Well, no, you go.
no, I was going to ask if this brings us to the thing, but you got another runner up.
No,
Lay it
I have
on
third
us.
one, and then we have the thing. I'll go through my third runner up really quickly because I found a lot of shit that I liked, and I could have made like a list of 10 bands that I liked
Yeah.
from this playlist. But this band was called We All Have Hooks for Hands, and the album was The Pretender. It was just like it sounded super piratey, but also I know you would hate the voice because it reminded me of like the DIY folk punk type voice where this guy you could just tell it was like a dude singing,
Yeah.
but it reminded me of a lot of like the folk punk that I really like, so it was nice. Which
Hell yeah.
now brings me to my pick. The band is called Pyramids, but it's spelled with 2 Y's, and the album was Brightest Darkest Day. This was by far the most experimental album that I heard out of all the ones that I listened to, and I would I would definitely classify it at least some of the songs as stomp pop, but very spacey, very experimental, and
Yeah.
there was just like so many ethereal sounds out of the album, and I really enjoyed it from front to back. Like there was not a song on there that I didn't like. The vocalist had this great, like soft, almost haunting voice, and the really big song off of that album that I think it had like 100,000 listens, where the rest were kind of hovering around like 30 to 50, maybe. The song was called "Don't Go," and I totally see why it was the biggest song. Like the drum beat was really like warpy and warbly. It had these like beep boopy sounds in it, and man, it took me for a fucking ride, and
Hell yeah.
I just really enjoyed it. I really
Like,
enjoyed this whole genre. It was great.
it's so interesting that that was your takeaway from this. Maybe I slacked a lot of bit on this because I love procrastinating, and that's just how I do. But I hated a lot of what I heard from Stomp Pop
Oh shit.
lists. I was really upset because I mean, like, obviously you got the big ones that I saw, like AWOL Nation. I'm a fan of AWOL Nation,
Yeah.
but then there was like Imagine Dragons, which I cannot stand listening
Oh
to
god.
Imagine Dragons
Yeah.
and things like that. And I did see the playlist that you used. And I think it's interesting that like you picked four artists from that
Mhm.
list to share. I picked two that I think were both on that list. If not, there was another like Spotify playlist I think that was like Stomp Pop stuff, and then I did some googling. But a lot of the stuff I listened to, I just wasn't into. Um, a lot of it kind of felt just like generic and boring. But there
Yeah.
were two standouts to me. One of which, at least the ones I listened to, two of them stood out. One of which I've dubbed a Joey pick, which is not my nominee, but I think it's something that you might enjoy
Yeah.
within the genre, and it is a band called Aqueduct, and
Oh yeah.
the album is I Sold Gold. And the vocalist, I don't know, I'm kind of torn on it. I don't dislike it necessarily. It is definitely a Joey pick for me just because of the vocals. A lot of times it kind of has that kind of bedroom, just a dude singing.
Yeah.
He doesn't sing very great. He doesn't like have like a good control over his tone or anything like that. But it kind of works in a lot of it. Some of the songs are worse than others, but I thought it was worth mentioning as something that you might look into if you didn't stumble upon it during this fortnight. And I also think it was funny that you mentioned 10 Bears, Dust and Gold, or 10 Bears as a potential, but you didn't want to pick them because there were only like three individual singers. Because my pick was Bear Cavalry.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know if they're related, but it was a very close coincidence. And they only have one EP that I'm aware of from Bear Cavalry named Purius. I don't know how it's pronounced. It's PurYss, but it's four songs. It's just a four-song EP, and so I was like, yeah, yeah, totally can't pick a three single band like 10 Bears. And here I am with a four song EP from
Hey
Bear
man,
Cavalry.
4 is more than 3.
It is. It is statistically one more. Mathematically,
25% or
20,
33%. I don't know how
it's a
percentages work.
33% increase
Yeah.
from three songs. But yeah, it's a 2012 EP. The album art caught my eye. It's kind of a cool album art. So that is my rec. It's I feel like I've kind of cheated, but also not because it was on both of the Stomp Pop playlists that I looked at. So I guess people consider it Stomp Pop, but I think I would put it more in like a prog, like a kind of like an indie progressive rock kind of thing, which I guess is a weird genre to
Yeah.
begin with. But some of it does kind of have that good stop to it.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to pick, but it might be better applied in other genres.
Yeah, this genre was a little weird because of how broad it was.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot of the
listen,
results were all over the place.
yeah, like you said, listening to 100 of the songs back to back. While I did like a lot, it was mainly because there was a lot of variety. But there were
Right,
so many bands like that sounded like your typical band from 2007 in there, where it was like, okay, this might as well be wallpaper. But
right.
whoever this person is that's running this account that makes these playlists, I very much commend them, and they must have a wide knowledge of music, or I
Yeah,
don't
to
know.
find all these bands even
Yeah.
because again, this band has one EP from 2012. I don't think they have any other music, at least not on. Hold on, now I'm contradicting. Oh, there's a bonus track apparently for this
Oh
EP
my god.
that is not included. Okay, so there's a fifth track, so I'm safe. I think
There
I'm
you go.
safe with
5
five
tracks.
tracks for
I think
sure.
that's I think there was only 5 tracks on Dead Dogs and Sad Songs, so
Yeah, so we're in there. We're safe. I have not listened to this bonus track. I cannot speak to its greatness or stomp poppiness, but yeah, that's my pick. So check out Pyramids, Brightest Darkest Day as Joey's entrant. Check out Bear Cavalry's Purius. Purius. I don't know I don't know how this thing's supposed to be said. I'm not gonna know next week or next episode either.
that's fine.
So I guess if you know, drop a comment, send us a message. If you don't know, also feel free to drop comments and messages and stuff. Let us know if you guys have been listening to Stomp Pop or what you would consider Stomp Pop,
Yeah.
or if you have any thoughts on anything that we discuss at any point. Or just you just want to share some music. That's ultimately what we're here for, is just discovering new music and having fun doing
I would
so.
love it if people would just like send us a bunch of recs, because then
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to get fucking like choice anxiety every time I open up Spotify and then end up just listening to the same 5 albums every day.
It would make my life a lot easier because, as mentioned, I procrastinate on all of these competitions and I don't listen to the genre until, a few days before our recording session. So, next time we announce a category, you guys better be dropping some comments, sending me some DMs for recommendations.
Quit slacking, people.
yeah, people that aren't me, quit slacking. How dare you? I don't know. This episode's gone on long because we
Yeah.
said it wouldn't go on long. That's just the nature of things, and I kept adding shit. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said at this point.
Other than
Stay
stay in our
in our
feedback loop.
feedback loop.
Bye.
Bye.